conditions are worsening around the world. I'm getting emails every single day telling me how people are agreeing with my analysis, and there doesn't seem to be any geographical similarity. This is literally all over the world that these people are also involved in. So today I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to be answering the questions that people have sent to me through YouTube's messaging system. While I don't get to those people very often, there are emails or messages in here that have been here for a very long time, but I want to get to them simply because oftentimes they are the same questions that people are asking. So if I make a YouTube video of it, then people get their question answered, but also a lot of people have the similar questions. So let's begin with that right now. I've removed the people's names, just put their first letter of their name in there, and also remove their name if it was contained within the message. I'm going to go through this quickly and just scroll through these, and let's get to the nitty gritty of this. We're talking about this first individual at the bottom, P, and what they have said is that, they're trying to decide between the stock market, or do they put it in treasuries, and what exactly are people doing? What do I think is going to happen with the future of this? You're trying to predict the market that is simply impossible to determine. Everything here is fictional now. There is no way to take what we have seen in the past and sort of apply it to what we have today. Unfortunately, we know that it's on a trajectory downward, and that's what we can assume. The PE ratio, although yes, it is important in some degree, we can't really use that as a factor to determine what's going to happen anymore. Everything is fictional. The market is largely controlled by a set of algorithms, and one day these algorithms are going to pop and the stock market is going to crash. Think about this. Look at the S&P 500. Look at the returns that it has been generating over these past few years, and understand that that isn't real. So the numbers like the PE ratio, they're not real either. That's what I'll say about this. I'm going to move on to the next one. I'm in the UK and on low income. I think I want to buy gold coins. Don't know which ones and where to buy. Any help would be appreciated. Where to buy gold coins, what to do if you're in the low income as well. Definitely you want to get out of debt. That is the number one thing before any investments take place. If you want to invest in something very reasonable, I would suggest some simple cans of food, bags of rice, things like this are much more valuable, because if we have a hyperinflation or high inflation, the first thing that's going to affect you is the food prices. So keeping a little extra of things that you'll eat anyway are very important. Now, to buy gold in Canada, although I'm not necessarily recommending them, I will tell you where I've bought all of my precious metals, most of my precious metals, and that is at Scotia Bank. So what you could do is actually go to one of the big major retailers and get it from there. Now, you might pay a little bit more in certain cases, but by getting it through one of these most legitimate sources, you will in fact have more of a guarantee that you're not getting tungsten instead. You have to watch out for that. Very important. I would also get a wide diversification here within the precious metals. Don't forget about silver. Don't forget about junk silver. If you only have $10 in your pocket, you can get some junk silver, and it is very good stuff. I would definitely recommend that over a lot of other precious metals investments. Let me just scroll up here to the next one. Hi David, I'm from Keswick, Ontario. Would you be interested in posting your rockin' videos on Google+? Yes, absolutely I do. All the videos do get posted to Google+, Facebook, and Twitter, as well as my website. So you can check that out there, Google+. If you want the link for that, if you look on my main channel page on YouTube, you will see the videos on Google+ as well. Next one is my channel has a number of German Wings original uploads. I usually find that prominent channels ignore all the communication. And really what I'm seeing here is that we need to look into the deeper intel, whether it's the German Wings scenario that was happening a while ago or not. We need to share our information that we have. This is absolutely crucial to look into not just my channel, but other channels as well. Look into the mainstream media too. It's always good for a laugh. Let me move on here. I'm in the UK. Please, can you advise which should I get, the 1 ounce gold Maple Leaf, Krugerrand, or the Britannia? I think you should get all three of them, because the more diversification you can get, the better. That's the way I see this. You need diversification even within the asset class itself. So first, get a gold maple leaf. Then next time you save up some money, get the Krugerrand. Next time, get the Britannia. That's the way I see it. People just have just silver eagles or just maple leafs or what have you. I don't agree with that at all. I think you should get what you can afford. Definitely something to look at. The Vatican will do the greatest heist. People should chill out or they will lose it all. They're getting transhumanized. It's a Brave New World 1984. And what I'll note about this is that we have something deeper going on than the financial system. Realize that there are other elite out there who do not necessarily care about the money anymore. They have the control over the entire world. Obviously, there is a much bigger scenario going on. Remember that this isn't just bankers trying to steal your money. This is something that goes largely beyond that and above that. I'll move on quickly to this right here. During an economic collapse, so what happens with credit card debt? Okay, so credit card debt is what I believe that will happen personally is that credit card debt will not be absolved by hyperinflation. If there is a hyperinflation, people believe that all of a sudden the credit card companies are just going to allow the scenario to just wipe it all out, all the debt goes scot-free. But look at any previous hyperinflation or high inflation scenario where people are in absolute, basically bedlam. The situation is chaos when they have hyperinflation. It's not about debt at that point. If you have a lot of credit card debt, I personally suggest paying it off. It is very crucial to pay off the debt. You need to understand that this is not something to be messed around with because we don't know what's going to happen. I believe that the debt will be transferred into the next monetary system. I'll leave it at that. Thank you very much for the email there. Do you think copper should go down with iron ore escalating up and the world demand going down? China freight, he's noting there, copper's at $2.94. If this is really happening, copper should go below $2. Well, I would say that copper is an extremely important commodity to look at to determine what's happening within the economy. Now, having said that, we also have the situation where commodities aren't at their accurate pricing anymore. Stocks aren't at their accurate pricing. So whether it goes up or down, I'm not too sure. But to really be able to predict what number it will be sitting at, it's hard to tell. Look at gold, for example. It should definitely not be where it is today, but there it is. You can't deny that. Now, copper is an important commodity, as I said. Look at China and their supply-demand fundamentals, and I would say that this is the most realistic thing that we could choose to see the future of copper, although today it really just doesn't add up. Okay, to look at this next one here from NS. David, have you considered doing a weekly update on your show that provide the data on the big wheels on the wagon? And he's talking about the Baltic Dry Index and others. Now, this is something that I definitely would think about. These answering of questions is something that I want to do. Want to know your opinion on these. I'm just going to go through the questions quickly and answer them like this. This is something that I would like to get into regularly, answering the questions for everybody on here. Different types of videos, just more content in general. I'm sure everyone will appreciate that. So certainly I would love to do things like this. And S, thank you for the email. During a complete economic collapse, what happens to the credit card debt? See, I do get these questions repeated. I get tons of emails. By the way, if you want to reach me directly, it's david@themoneygps.com. You can always reach me directly on there to get your question answered within a short period of time, within a week. And what happens to credit card debt? I've already answered that question, so I'm going to move on here. I am a master's student from Brussels, and I'm doing my thesis about Chinese investment banks. I saw your video about the AIIB, which is very interesting. I had a question concerning the investment banks in China. I do not quite understand how this is structured. Would you happen to know the paper that would explain the Chinese investment banks in a very clear way? Now, the investment banks, the details on those, you have to do the research for yourself. I just look into the geopolitical data. I look into the investment analysis, basically. If you want to know more specifics, follow the mainstream media and the AIIB, and you will be led towards the different websites, different scenarios, basically, that are showing what's happening in more detail. What I will say about the AIIB is that this is something very small at this moment. It will grow, it will expand, and this is something that goes hand in hand what is happening with Russia and China's partnership on everything that they're doing. They want to formulate new investment banks. They want to formulate all these new agreements and pacts and treaties that do away with the West. They're doing so very well at the moment, but this is something that is going to be something that takes time. It's not going to happen overnight, and this is very important to understand. Let's go on to this. MG says, can you see it going all cashless? The answer is yes. It will go cashless, but it's not going to be something that they do overnight. I believe that they're slowly but surely going to take this out of the circulation. Money will be, in fact, something that they just completely wipe out of circulation, and you will then have to go into their cashless system. You will be forced on it eventually. That's going to take a lot of time. People are adopting more credit cards, the Apple Pay system, and all these different systems that they have to make it easier for us. At the same time, they're able to control us, and that is the cashless society. This individual, IJ, sent over this, why the Fed may be forced to raise rates. Raising rates is actually essential at some point, and I will note specifically from this article what we're looking at with the whole political and financial, what's happening terribly now, how it's all getting worse, but the stock market is pumping up like crazy, and they need to calm this down. How do you calm it down? Well, you raise interest rates, but raising interest rates is going to collapse the economy. They know that. That's why they haven't raised the interest rates yet. But when they raise the interest rates, they're going to also have to pay more on their national debt. That's the way this works. The rates that they're charging right now are basically 0%. They're giving out car loans and home loans and everything for next to nothing right now. And this is causing a massive dislocation, which they'll have to fix at some point. I believe that they will raise interest rates on purpose in order to collapse the economy, and they'll be ready on the other side to pick up the pieces for pennies on the dollar. I would like to ask you some advice. I'm 16 years old, live in Switzerland, but because I don't really trust the paper money system, I'd like to invest in something, even if it's a little sum. Also, I don't know about the dollar collapse story, so could you please tell me your opinion, how much Switzerland could be affected by it, if it's useful to invest now, and in what? Okay, so first of all, you live in Switzerland, one of the safest countries in the world, both for the financial system, both for just general safety. So I would say you're in a good position, definitely. You're also holding a very strong currency. This is also very important. Not the only currency in the world that's a little stronger than, let's say, the US or the euro, but definitely something that you want to be earning dollars in, or, your own francs in. Now, what you would suggest about the Switzerland here, don't necessarily think that Switzerland is going to not fall along with all the other dominoes. It has to. Look at the financial crisis, where it did suffer just as well as the other countries did. It is surrounded by Europe. They're exporting to Europe. If Europe is in trouble, well, then Switzerland is in trouble as well. They're just more shielded. They're going to get less hurt than the surrounding countries. If the dollar collapses, Switzerland will certainly feel it, but they won't feel it as hard. So I would definitely invest locally as much as you can in Switzerland before investing outward into Europe. Definitely you have that strong local region there. You can also venture out, I would say, maybe to Germany in some cases, depending on what you're getting into. I would believe that, things like precious metals are still very valuable to you in Switzerland. This is very important for everyone around the world. Definitely something to look into. And, you should always be investing paper money, despite the fact that Swiss currency is great. You don't want to have any paper money. You want to have just enough to pay for your bills and have a little bit for your savings or whatever, but don't keep the bulk of your savings in paper assets, even paper investments or any sort of paper denominated currency or anything. You want to have it in real assets. That's important. And you're 16 years old. You're already interested in this. This is excellent. Good to hear that people are paying attention. Last but not least, bigger picture of things to come. We're talking about closing offices and cutting jobs, state contractors, and so on. And this has been going on. We've seen what happened with Walmart and HSBC and all these other banking institutions. I quoted it in my book. We talked about how anytime the banking industry, or any industry, in fact, look at the oil industry in the US, they have a problem with the particular industry, the particular commodity, and all of a sudden the jobs just start fleeing. This is also a problem because of NAFTA, because of GATT, and all these other treaties that they've signed, which has allowed them to ship jobs overseas, which the government in fact admits. They admit the fact that NAFTA has taken jobs overseas, and there are benefits that you can apply for in the US to get some money back from the US. This is pretty amazing to see the admission, but at the same time they deny it. It's pretty amazing to see that. What I would say is that this closing of jobs has a lot to do with NAFTA, but also at the same time, this is just the economy getting worse. Remember that it's depending on oil, that's the particular commodity and the situation going on with that commodity. So it's hard to necessarily determine or pinpoint just one situation that is happening. That's enough for this video today. I will basically do this on occasion. Want to know your thoughts on it. I've tried to move through the questions as quickly as possible. Remember that these are questions that I'm answering consistently throughout my emails and messages and everything that I get. They're consistently coming in, and I just want to be there to respond to all of you. I'm not planning on doing this every day or necessarily every week, just something occasionally to change it up, and also to be able to get back to you, because it is now extremely difficult now that I'm past 20,000 subscribers on here. It's very difficult to get back to you. So I want to be able to get back to you. Most of these people in the alternative news, they don't get back to you. You message them, you write to them, and they don't get back. Well, that's not what I'm about. I do believe that I need to get back to you, whether it's making an actual video just to be able to do that, or whether it's to respond to you through email or what have you. So I'd like to say that I appreciate all of the comments, all of the questions that I've been getting. Very, very good stuff coming through. Last but not least, if you found this video informative, I know that you will find my book, The Money GPS, even more informative. And you can actually flip through the book. If you go to Amazon, they have a look inside feature. You can flip through the book for yourself and see if you like it. Take care.